so we're going to have to wait for this a little while, so I'll pad for you. If you're filming, if you can make sure that I'm in shot as well, otherwise it's just not going to make sense if that's actually you told that. So, what we're talking about is Fable 2. Now, does anyone know about Fable? Do you all not know what Fable is? No, you all do. So I did do a demo earlier today to people, and someone said halfway through, what genre it is for Fable? That was a bit bad. So here we are at Fable 2. Just to remind you, it's a role-playing game. It's a classic role-playing game. You'll level up. There's lots of weapons. There's lots of swords. There's an enormous world, 10 times bigger than Fable 1. That world has got lots of dungeons. It's still simulation-based. There's loads of charming stuff about getting married and having children. I showed off at GDC. I showed a dog and emotion in games. And really now what I want to do is focus on one of the really big core mechanics, and that is combat. Now combat in RPGs is, it's a tricky thing, and the combat in Fable 1 was okay. It wasn't earth-shattering, and what I'd really like to do is look at the combat in Fable 2 and try and make it absolutely incredible and fantastic. And what my dream is, and there's a reason for this dream, what my absolute dream is to make a combat system that is going to be just a little bit different for you, all of us. That's going to have some unique elements in it, and maybe give you things that you haven't seen before. So that's exactly what I'm focusing on now. The problem is, when you come to design combat, there's one fundamental problem, and it's especially true these days, is that you realise for a game like Fable, you realise for a game like Fable, the problem is this, is your audience is made up of, partially of casual gamers, who, for a lot of games that are being made in the industry nowadays, find that those games are just far too hard for them. They kind of feel dumb when they play them. And I include some games that I've done in the past in that category. So for those casual gamers, they're kind of feeling intimidated by what's being made. And then on the other side, you've got you guys, who are die-hard, hardcore gamers, and you're the one that's going to mark me and score me. And I want a 10. That's what I'm designing for, a 10. But I'm also designing a game that's going to sell 5 million units. And you guys, what you want from, especially from something like combat, you're very greedy. You want lots and lots and lots of special moves, and you want those special moves to come out through the whole of the game. You love the idea of unlocking features. You love the idea of variation. You love the idea of experimentation. You really want something new and innovational. You want to be as excited by your first combat as you are in the last combat, which is pretty tough to do. And so what I've done, when I say I mean we, the whole of Lionhead, what we've done is sat down and thought, right, how can we create a combat system that is going to enable casual gamers to feel really secure and safe and they can get to the end of the game, and hardcore gamers to actually, enjoy this and measure the combat against anything that they've seen before in any game, not just role-playing games. And what I've done, bizarrely and terrifyingly, is what we decided to do, first of all, for some very good reasons that will become apparent later on, is to focus all of the melee combat, all of the sword combat on this one button here. Now, I know what you're thinking. One button combat has been tried before, and it kind of sucked. Normally, it's it's not nearly deep enough. So what the job of this demo is going to be is going to try and prove to you that one button combat is both very accessible and extremely deep. I'm going to try and prove that, and then I'm going to introduce some weird stuff, as is my way. So let's talk about this to start off with. The stage that we are in development of Fable at the moment is that we've been developing it for 2 years. We've just about implemented the story. We've implemented pretty much all every region in the world. We've got all our core mechanics there, but they're all unpolished. And for the next year, we're just going to be polishing, not adding new features. See, I listen. Because normally I just keep on adding features right to the end. So I'm done with the features now. I'm not going to add any more, unless any of you have any suggestions. Just joking. And I'm just going to polish the features we've got. And so what you're seeing here is literally, we spent a week just setting up a scenario for me to demo. But this is what the game looks like. Obviously, there are obvious huge flaws with it. You're going to see horrible flaws with animation, horrible flaws in physics. The lighting's not working properly. There's loads and loads of problems here. But please don't look at those. If you see anything, we see it as well, which we're going to fix it and polish it. So what we've got here is a little scenario that's set up. Bowerstone is under attack by these guys, which are bandits. And your job as a hero is to go and save the day. You played this 1,000,000 times in 1,000,000 games. Now I'm going to try and use the combat to make this a little bit more interesting and exciting. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start triggering an interactive cutscene. Now I spoke about this at GDC a little bit. Remember, I never ever want to take control away from you as a player. You are free to modify the interactive cutscenes we've got by using expressions. If someone comes and asks you for help, and gives you their sob story, laugh at them, or hug them, or belch at them. Whatever you like to do, that will unlock different dialogue and a different thread to the story. To support that interactive cutscene, I've got this key here, which is the look at key. You could always look at something in the world. Now, the look at is kind of like the look at that you've seen in Gears of War. It's just it's always there. So we'll look at this guy here. He's here. There's one of the bugs. He's here, and he sees me looking at him, and he's going to start attacking me. I can release that at any time and just carry on with the game. So I really want to give you control the whole time. Sometimes you'll press the look at, and you'll look at this guy, your dog. By the way, he's staying behind, because I found if I demo with him around, you just look at the dog, and you don't look at me at all. So he steals the show. Anyway, let's go into the combat. One button. So I am painfully aware that most casual gamers, almost every casual gamers will do this. They will not do that, sorry. They will mash the button. Now, button mashing, we're going to allow people to button mash. We're not going to stop people button mashing. But the thing is that you can win all of the combat that you see in this game by mashing the button. And I don't want to stop people do that. I just want to give them less experience. And less experience, I'll just pause it, less experience means your hero will be less cool. So you get to the end of the game and your hero will not be as cool. So it doesn't matter if you're not very good at combat. All it means is that your hero won't be super powerful, super powered up, with super strength and super spells and super attacks. That's all it means. So that's the first thing that you can do with the button, is just thrash that. If I start hitting that button with a little bit of rhythm, then I'll start making more impactful hits, and I'll get a slightly better score. Now let's use another attack, another different attack. This is